You're listening to the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex.
And I'm Sam.
And we are the Bloodshed Baddies.
Yeah, we are. So, Lex, as you know, we record a little bit ahead of time, baddies. So it was just the new year and that weird weekend before work starts where everyone is like, what day is it? What am I doing with my life? So I just want to know, what have you been up to? We haven't really talked about what we've been up to in our lives. What did you do for New Year's Eve? What have you been up to in that weird world of waiting for work to begin again?
Well, I didn't have that luxury because I work all the time. So I only got New Year's Day off that week.
Boo.
Yeah. So I was working most of the week, but I did have a fun little pajama party with my friends at my house
Love
on New Year's Eve. And then on New Year's Day, we watched some football with Dustin's dad.
that. Nice. Who played on New Year's Day?
That's a great question.
Lexi
It
wasn't
was
watching.
Texas Tech and somebody else. And then somebody else and somebody else. It's college football playoffs.
Oh, I'm not a huge college football person. Nice. So for me, we did our blanket fort. We know Lexi disapproves, baddies. We've talked about it. It was nice. It was fun. And then on New Year's Day, we went to a dog park and met up some friends there, which was fun. And then I met some friends for a brunch on Sunday. And then we've just been really busy, just getting our crazy life together. So I'm tired.
I feel you.
But I am excited to take this break and let Lexi do the case today.
Okay, so actually got this case when I was home for Christmas in Michigan.
Yay.
Mom and I watched a documentary on Netflix called The Perfect Neighbor.
I thought I wasn't recording, but I am. That sounds fun. Continue, please. Sorry.
Okay. So we watched the documentary and Mom said, this would be great for the podcast. So I decided to do it for the podcast.
Yay, I'm excited.
Have you seen it?
I have not, but I have heard not everything, but I've heard a little bit about it and I've heard it's amazing. I heard it's an amazing, crazy documentary to watch.
Yes, I will give more of my opinions at the end.
Okay, perfect.
From the documentary as a whole, but I'm going to tell the story first. So this story is about Aijke Owens, who went by AJ, and she lived in Ocala, Florida.
Oh, yeah, I know where that's at.
She was 35 years old and a single mother of 4 children. At the time, Isaac was 11, Israel was 9, Africa was 6, and Titus was just 3 years old.
Okay, real quick, pausing. Love all the names. I also love AJ as a girl name. That's cute.
Isn't it cute?
Yes, love.
So AJ was known as a devoted, hands-on mother. She worked as a manager at McDonald's, but her life revolved around her kids. She was actually the team mom for their football and cheerleading teams, and she was always organizing, supporting, and showing up. Friends and neighbors described her as warm, protective, and deeply invested, not just in her own children, but in the community around her, especially other single mothers.
Go single moms.
So she knew the struggle of being a single mom, so she would often support other single moms in the neighborhood.
Which is amazing. And there needs to be some type of community involved, if you are a single mom.
AJ lived in a neighborhood made up of rental apartments owned by a single landlord. I will say, although they're apartments, you see them in the documentary, they look more like duplexes.
Okay.
They look kind of like an individual house that's split into 2. Instead of an apartment building where there's multiple floors and people on top of each other.
So it's almost like a condo?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a really family heavy community. There was tons of children who spent their days playing together. Football, hide and seek. You can see in the documentary kids doing cheerleading routines and dancing. And it's just like, just being kids. It reminds me a lot of like Ashley Lauren. We just had like a big group of kids that would kind of all play together when we were little.
Yeah, like every kid's dream.
Directly across from AJ lived 60-year-old Susan Lawrence. I don't know how to say her last name. And honestly, I didn't want to even look it up. Who moved into the neighborhood in 2020. And almost immediately after she moved in, there was tension in the neighborhood.
Oh, gosh. So she's like the negative Nancy.
Yes. Beginning in January of 2021, Susan started calling the police again and again to complain about the neighborhood children. Over the next year and a half, she would make between 6 and 8 documented calls. Her complaints were consistent. The kids were too loud, too disruptive, disrespectful, and trespassing on her property.
Okay. So the disrespectful is unfortunate. The only reason that should be called for is the trespassing, if that's even like legit. Kids are kids. They're going to be loud and have fun and run around. And that's part of living in a neighborhood.
Well, here's a pretty important detail about the trespassing. Next to Susan's unit was an empty lot.
Okay.
So, like where her backyard was an empty lot. And then their lot next door, an older man owned the neighborhood, that lot. And he told the kids, hey, you guys can come play football here. You guys can come play hide and seek here because it's a nice big patch of grass. And in fact, he would even sometimes come out and play football with them.
That is so cute.
Susan did not own either of those lots. In fact, her rental agreement, she only had the small enclosed patio off of her back door.
So that's not even trespassing then, Susan.
Despite this, Susan purchased no trespassing signs and placed them around the lots.
I know this is not going to be a funny case if it's a documentary, but that is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life.
Witnesses and police reports later revealed that Susan routinely screamed racial slurs at the children who were mostly Black. She recorded them while they played, and she flipped them off, and she harassed them.
Okay, so this older woman, first off, is giving racial slurs to these young kids. Not only is she doing that, she's flipping them off. And she's calling the police saying that they're the ones being disrespectful?
Yeah. Besides explicit use of the N-word, she would call them slaves and told them that the empty lot was not the Underground Railroad.
Susan is a terrible, terrible, terrible person. Not only is that totally terrible to say to any human in the world, treat people as human beings, please. They're children.
Yes.
And their first bout of racism is going to come from this old, grumpy white lady.
Yes.
These poor kids.
So the kids keep playing on the lot because they want to play together. There's like in the documentary, it's all shot through body cam footage. It's only body cam footage.
Oh, wow.
And when the police come into the neighborhood, you can see there's probably like 10 kids that are all in this neighborhood playing together and like best friends. They're all around the same ages.
And also that older gentleman said, come play on this lot. You know what I mean? They got permission. They're friends. They're like, get out of here, Susan. Like, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. You got here late. You get used to it. I don't blame the kids.
So the documentary starts on February 25th, 2022. Susan had called the police claiming the children were walking their dog on her property despite the no trespassing signs. She told the kids to leave and began taking pictures of them.
Which also, that's taking pictures of minors without consent. So like, Susan, you're doing illegal things.
Susan said when she began to take pictures, AJ was outside and AJ had the 3-year-old. So oftentimes she was inside with the 3-year-old and her other 3 kids were outside playing, but she had happened to be outside that day. And Susan said she kind of yelled at her, hey, stop photographing the children, and that she threw the no trespassing sign at her.
AJ allegedly threw it.
Yes. To be clear, this sign was like smaller than a garage sale sign. And it's like one of those ones on stakes that you put in the ground. When police came and spoke to AJ, she explained there was an ongoing issue and that she typically was silent. She typically didn't get into it. She did admit that she had told Susan to stop and she was mad. And she pulled the trespassing sign out of the lawn, threw it, and was like, I could buy signs too. That doesn't mean this is your property.
Which, I mean, one, AJ's right. Two, her mama bear instincts are like, I will claw your eyeballs out because you're taking pictures of my children and being giving racial slurs to my children.
So she stated that the sign did not touch Susan and no one else witnessed it touching Susan. So no charges were filed against AJ at this time.
Good.
So that was February. We're going to fast forward to August. And Susan has called the police again, this time because the children were playing on the empty lot. At this point, you can tell the officers know who this lady is, and they're as annoyed with this as anybody else. And Mom and I were kind of talking, and like, she is taking time away from these police officers who could be doing more important things than worrying about kids playing on an empty lot.
1,000%.
Officers came and told her, hey, there's nothing we can do. The guy that owns that lot gave them permission to be on that lot. You do not own that lot. It is not your property. And Susan was like, well, the kids are screaming and yelling, and I have the right to have peaceful property. And one officer just like bluntly responds at this point saying, I would rather have these children playing outside and screaming than stealing cars and robbing people.
Yes, officer. Or inside playing video games all day. You know what I mean? Like, I love when I drive up and I see kids playing outside. Like, that's like, oh my God, yes.
That's what Mom said. Mom was saying that like sometimes the kids in her neighborhood are really loud. She said, but like sometimes she'll pull up from work and they're screaming and yelling running around and she'll like smile because she's like, oh, look, they're all having fun, playing outside, being kids.
Yes, let the kids be kids. And I'm sorry, if you live in a closer community, like an apartment complex or like condo complex or whatever, it's going to be louder. You don't have as much space. That's part of it.
Yes. That was in August. In December, Susan calls the police again. This time on the phone with police, she admits that she called the children the R word after she lost it on them. And then she claimed that one of the kids told her to shut up.
Good, because I hate that word. I hate that word more, like, it's a terrible word. So she's calling them that and racial slurs, and the little kid just says shut up. So good on that little kid.
So the police go and they speak to the children and AJ. AJ said that Susan had claimed that one of her kids told Susan to shut up. So AJ sent most of her other kids inside, hey, get inside, and took her one child that Susan said shut up, and brought her to Susan's door to ask what happened. Because AJ said that while the kids are kids sometimes, and they often would call Susan Karen, the neighborhood kids.
Well, she sounds like one.
And they would say some stuff back to her. AJ had instructed her kids not to say anything back because she was still an adult and they couldn't disrespect her. So AJ said that she took the kid and was kind of like, went over to Susan's house, was like, hey, what's going on? I don't want my kid saying shut up to you. And that's when Susan called the police.
Okay, which one that I feel like that was very big of AJ to do that and to teach her children, like, still always respect adults. And then yet she still gets the police called on her.
AJ also shared with the police that Susan frequently accused the kids of setting off her car alarm by messing with her truck. So one day AJ had come out, they had told her this, AJ had come out and told all the kids to stay at her house on the opposite side of the street. And the alarm still went off like every 6 minutes. So they realized that Susan was inside triggering the alarm herself and then coming out to blame it on the kids.
Susan, get a life, dude. Are you kidding me? I thought like there was like going to be some like, like car error that like, LOL, her alarm just kept going off. No, she's literally sitting inside doing it herself.
Yes.
I'm shooketh by this one. I'm getting really angry and I'm getting really like, what is going
Ooh.
on?
Me and mom were heated. One officer was talking to AJ, the other officer was talking to the kids. And the children told the officers that Susan had called them the P word, the B word, and the R word.
P, B, and R.
Yep.
A grown, how old is Susan again?
60.
Who hurt you, Susan? Who hurt you? That makes you this mean and evil.
Police, again, told Susan the children were allowed to be where they were. She did not own that property. They told the kids, we can't tell you to stop playing on the lot. We can't.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't go on her porch, because sometimes she says you're on her porch. I have nothing to prove that, but don't go on her porch. She does own that. And they said, if Susan yells at you again, instead of saying something back, go get an adult.
Yes, that is exactly what everyone tells kids all the time.
Yes. The police get a weird call on March 14th of 2023.
Oh, boy.
A man called the police and reported a woman in a truck who had driven into a private alley and was in this private alley, and he closed the gates at the time that the gates were supposed to be closed. And she was still back there and got stuck and just started repeatedly ramming the gate with her vehicle, causing damage to this gate. So they come and they look up this car, and it belongs to Susan.
What? Why? Why is Susan in an alley ramming her car into a...
No one knows. So the police go to her home, and it's wild. They go and they like knock on the door, and she doesn't answer. So they knock again, and she's like, wait a minute, like crazy sounding. And then they're like, this is the sheriff's office. And they ask her like where she's been. And she's like, I've been home all day. And they're like, did anybody else use your truck today? And she's like, no. And they were like, okay, well, we have to ask you some questions. And they read her Miranda rights and tell her like about the car and stuff. And she's like refusing to talk to them. She won't talk to them. And so then the police officer's like, okay, so then what's going to happen next is I'm going to have a picture lineup, and the guy who saw you ramming his fence is going to come in and identify you. And then you'll be pulled in for questioning. And then all of a sudden she realized she was in serious trouble, and she like wanted to talk. And she said that because she's been raped and beaten in the past, this triggered her and she panicked. So she just started ramming the gate.
I'm silent because I'm just thinking in my head, baddies and Lex, that that's very terrible, right? If that happened to Susan, I am very sorry that happened to you. No one deserves that, Susan. But why are you in a back alley, and why are you ramming your car into it?
Mm-hmm. The guy, like, that when they show up at the police call, he's like, I don't even know how she got back here. It's a private alley. She's not supposed to be back here. There's signs that say you can't be back there. And he's like, but one other time this did happen. He's like, and a guy got stuck back here after I'd closed the gates because I didn't know he was back there. And he just called the number on the fence, and I came and let him out.
Yeah. And Susan rammed her truck and then somehow got out.
Rammed her truck hard enough to get out. Yeah. And damaged the whole fence.
This, like, that doesn't even make any sense to me.
No. And it's not really super relevant to the story, but they did put it in the documentary. And I was like, oh, she's actually insane, I think.
Because I think that's what that shows, Lex.
Yes.
Like, exactly what you said. Like, I'm sitting here so dumbfounded. I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah. It's just weird. It's just weird.
I don't like it. I wouldn't want that person to be my neighbor.
So then in April, Susan calls the police again. We're in April of 2023. She claims that AJ's son, Israel, who was about 7 years old at the time, tried to put a small dog in the bed of her truck.
Like, why, Susan?
When the police spoke to a neighbor who was outside, there's a adult man outside, and he's like, the police come up to him and are basically like, hey, Susan said the kid in the red shirt was trying to put a small dog in her truck. And he just starts laughing. And he's like, Israel has a dog, but it's bigger than Israel. And there's no way he could have picked him up
and put him in the truck.
Yeah. So they're just like, whatever. Nothing.
That neighbor
happens.
is me. I literally would just be laughing too. Like, this is the most insane thing a cop has ever came and asked me.
You can tell because a lot of the neighbors are outside oftentimes on these. You can tell the neighbors are done. The neighbors are sick of it. The neighbors are like, here she goes again, making
She's
up
the
stories.
neighborhood Karen. Yeah.
Yes.
The kids are right.
On May 22nd, 2003, Susan goes directly to the police station to file a report against the children. Again, being loud and trespassing. The officers, again, are done with this lady. So the officer is like, literally looks at her and is like, okay, so what do you want from this report? Do you want to see these children go to jail? And she says, yes, absolutely.
These young children go to jail for being children.
For playing football. For playing football on an empty lot.
Like, I almost wish that, like, but like, I'm sure there's like laws and like she couldn't. But like, I almost wish the landlord or whatever could have kicked her butt out. You know what I mean? Like, this is like the most, I would never want to live by somebody like that ever in my life. What a miserable lady, a miserable neighbor, negative energy all around. Get away from me. No.
Police told her, we'll document the complaint, but without evidence, we cannot do anything.
Yeah, they're not going to freaking arrest a 7-year-old.
And what I also think is like really interesting about the situation is she's often videotaping the kids and taking pictures of the kids, but none of those videos or pictures prove what she's trying to tell police over and over again.
That's kind of creepy.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like.
But also, like, obviously nothing's happening because if you're taking pictures of the kids that much, you'd have proof that they're doing the stuff that you say they're doing.
Also 1000% yes. So it just proves you're a weirdo liar.
Now we're going to talk about June 2nd, 2023. That night, Israel was playing in the open lot with the neighborhood kids. When he went home for the night, he realized that he left his tablet behind. When he returned to look for it, he couldn't find it. And I saw two different reports. One said that he believed Susan took his tablet, and one said that Susan broke his tablet. More reports say that he believed Susan took it.
To me, would be plausible. Like, hey, I left my iPad behind. It's possible one of his friends took it with them to bring tomorrow, but like they've constantly had problems with Susan. I would think like Susan probably took it.
So while he returned to look for it, he was trying to see if Susan had it or whatever. And Susan came out, and apparently there was a pair of roller skates by her porch, and she grabbed them and threw them at Israel. Remember, Israel's like, I think 9 at this time. Yeah, like a new 9.
She grabbed a pair of roller skates and threw them at him?
So Israel ran to go get his older brother and came back with Isaiah. So Isaiah came back, okay, let's get your iPad. And Susan came out with an umbrella and swung an umbrella at them.
Okay, Britney Spears, what are you doing?
So the boys did exactly what police had told them to do, and they went and got their mom.
Good for them.
Susan, at this point, had called 911, complaining that the children were trespassing, leaving toys, screaming, yelling, and being absolutely obnoxious. She admitted on the phone to throwing a roller skate and then claimed that Israel threatened to beat her up afterwards, that a 9-year-old threatened to beat her up, and that she was now fearing for her life.
She is the one being obnoxious. She is a terrible person.
So police tell her, okay, stay inside your house, lock your doors, we're on our way. Isaiah and Israel went and got Ajike and said, Mom, Susan has my tablet. She threw his roller skate at me. She tried to hit me with an umbrella. AJ has had enough. So she walks over to Susan's home with Isaiah and Israel and knocks on the door. Susan fired a gun through the closed door, and the bullet struck AJ in the chest. 9-year-old Israel and 12-year-old Isaac witnessed the entire thing. The little 9-year-old called 911 and ran to get help from the neighbors.
I'm sick.
Susan also called 911, stating that a woman was trying to break down her door and that she had shot her. She claimed that she believed AJ was going to kill her. At the beginning of the call, she sounds frantic, like almost crying when she's like, oh my God, a woman was trying to break in and I shot her through the door. And then when the police asked for more details, she abruptly shifts from this like crying, frantic voice to anger as she once again starts complaining about how the children were being loud and leaving their stuff everywhere. It's like creepy, the switch.
Yeah, and that right there tells me, well, just keep going. I don't want to say anything that's not true.
Aijke Owens died later that night in the hospital.
Oh, I have chills everywhere. This is literally terrible, 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 terrible.
Susan was taken in for questioning, and during this questioning, she claimed that AJ was screaming, I'm going to kill you, while banging on the door. Police informed her that AJ had died, and Susan like kind of put her head in her hands, but she showed no like remorse at all.
This is like sick.
When they asked her her intent in firing the gun, she said she had feared for her life. She was released hours later.
No.
The neighborhood was outraged. AJ's family was outraged. Susan admitted to shooting AJ. AJ's children witnessed it, and yet Susan walked free, claiming self-defense under Florida's Stand Your Ground law.
This seems very calculated.
Oh, just you wait, Sammy Jo. You're a smart girl.
Oh, God.
So 3 days later, June 6th, 2023, Susan was brought in for further questioning. When asked about using the N-word, she said it might have slipped out.
That doesn't just slip out, first off. So, like, go ahead.
No. They ask her, they go over the details of that night again, and they start asking her specifics. And they ask, how long was AJ banging on your door? And she's like, it all was a blur, but it was probably around 2 to 5 minutes of her banging on the door.
And you shoot her?
So then investigators start to ask more about the timeline. So they're like, okay, so here's the timeline. You called the police to complain about the children. They said, we are on our way. We're sending officers right now. And then while you're waiting for officers, AJ comes, knocks on your door. You fear for your life. You shoot AJ. You call 911 saying you shot AJ. They were like, how much time between you ending that 911 call and starting the next 911 call to say you shot AJ? How much time elapsed between those two things?
Yeah.
And Susan tells them probably about 10 minutes. And they go through the phone calls with her because, every time you call 911 and every time you disconnect from 911, it's recorded.
Yeah.
From the time Susan hung up the first 911 call where they said officers are on their way, and the time that she called to say she shot AJ was 2 minutes.
I'm in total disbelief. I think even 10 minutes would be terrible. 2 minutes? Literally, you hung up the phone, and at the very minimum, as you hung up the phone, she starts knocking.
At the minimum.
Yes.
At the very minimum.
Yes. And then this woman starts knocking on your door, quote unquote, saying she's going to kill you, which I don't believe. And you have a gun in your hands already and you shoot her and then call
when
the
you
police.
Know police are on the way because you've already called them.
And she's with 2 young children, and it's not like she broke into your house and the door opened. You know what I mean? There's so many factors to this that
Well, and that's kind of what the police told her too, is how did you know what you were shooting at? The kids are out there. What if you had shot one of the kids?
Yes. What if Isaiah was standing in front of the door and the mom was off to the side?
Yeah. So then they ask her if she's ever researched stand your ground laws. And she's like, well, a long time ago, I saw a case about it. And they were like, you know what we found. You know why we're asking you this. You're a smart person. And she's like, no, no, no. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that I researched stand your ground laws and planned for this to happen. And that's not true. That's not true. And they were like, but didn't you tell the kids when they said, I'm going to go get my mom? Didn't you say, yeah, go get your mom? And she was like, I don't remember saying that. But in her first interview, she said, the kid said, I'm going to go get your mom. And I said, yeah, go get your mom. Go get her.
This was premeditated.
It was premeditated. She had planned to make it look like self-defense.
And this evil woman used the kids.
Mm-hmm.
This is a new kind of sick and twisted that makes me want to puke everywhere.
So Susan is then arrested.
Good.
And this is wild to me.
As if it's not already.
She refuses. She's in the questioning room and they're like, okay, stand up. We're going to go process you. She refuses. She says, no, I'm not getting arrested. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
And they're like, no, you are though.
How delusional do you have to be like, nope, and think it's going to work?
Literally, that's what Mom and I were saying. She literally is sitting there like you're watching it because it's footage of the questioning room. And she's like, nope, that's not going to happen. Nope. And then they're like, it's happening. Like, we can do this the easy way where you like get up and walk, or we're going to do this like the hard way. So then she claims like she's feeling sick and she might be having a heart attack. And they know what she's doing. So the police officer's like, well, good thing we have medical staff. As soon as you get to the processing room, they'll check you out.
There you flip and go.
After there's 3 adult male police officers telling her like, we're about to make this really hard for you. And then finally she stands up.
I don't know what I would do if I was the police officer. I would have been like, this is a joke. She's a joke. Not obviously what she did and all that is not a joke at all. That's so serious. But to sit there and be like, no.
Yeah. So then during the time that she was being questioned, they left her with a pad of paper and said that she could write a letter to the kids because they were like, most people, like when this happens, it's hard to know that they took a life. Here's a pad of paper. You can write a letter to the kids. And basically she wrote,
I'm going to vomit.
I'm sorry for your loss. I never meant to kill your mother. I was terrified your mom was going to kill me. I shot out of fear. So like literally no empathy for these 4 children who were being raised by a single mother, and that mother is gone.
The most selfish letter ever, because that's saying, oh, I'm fearful for my life. I'm fearful for my life. I'm fearful for my life.
And if you really, truly did this in self-defense, like if you really, truly thought this woman was going to kill you and you shot and then you found out you killed this woman, wouldn't you just be so remorseful?
You would feel like the worst, most terrible person because like you just said, she took a single mother away from her 4 children.
Yes.
In front of 2 of the children.
Yes.
Outside their home where their comfort and peace and you know what I mean? Like this is so twisted on so many levels. And then you selfishly write, oh, I was fearful for my life. You wouldn't write that to the kids if that was any way, shape, or form true.
Exactly. It was a last-ditch effort to have on paper her self-defense. In August of 2024, Susan went to trial and she was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 25 years in prison.
Good, but I wish she got life. I know she's 60, but...
Yeah, I think she's basically life.
Yeah.
In November of 2025...
Oh, gosh. That was recent.
This bitch sent a handwritten letter saying that she was going to sue AJ's mother and her children for slander, libel, and defamation, and demanding more than $50,000. She has not actually done this yet. It was just in a handwritten letter.
Because no lawyer is going to take your case on, first off. Second off, this again shows us 1,000,000% you premeditated this, because if this was a true for real accident, you would never do that. And of course they're slandering your racist old Karen butt. Are you kidding me? That's all I would do, is walk around and talk about how much of an evil witch you are, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Yep. AJ's 4 children now live with their grandmother, Pamela Diaz, who is AJ's mother. And Pamela, this beautiful human, has since founded a nonprofit organization called Standing the Gap Fund, which is dedicated to supporting families impacted by gun violence and racial violence, and advocating for legislative reform, particularly around the stand your ground laws.
Pamela, beautiful, because doing that in a situation that is so awful and rough, and like losing your daughter to gun violence and because of racist people in the world, I can't imagine.
Yeah, and then having to raise 4 young children now who don't have a mother.
And have so much trauma because their neighbor was terrible and killed their mother.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. The 2 boys blame themselves. The little boy says, like, if I never would have left my tablet, my mom would still be alive. And the older brother blames himself because he wasn't able to keep his mom alive with CPR. It's very horrible.
I want to cry.
Yes.
I understand, but it's not your fault, boys, at all.
I will say the documentary is wonderful. It's very well done. It is only done with police cam body footage, and it's only what is out there. You know, it's only exactly what happened. I will say I would give extreme caution while watching if you're sensitive to certain things. It does show, like, the minute the police talk to the young boys about what happened, it shows them near her body whilst they're trying to provide medics. It shows their dad coming, and it shows their dad telling the boys that their mom had died. And it is very hard to watch. It's very hard to watch. So I just want to give a warning. It is a super well done documentary. It kind of was just like, it was a lot for me, and I've thought about it a lot since. I'm glad I watched it, but at the same time, there's part of me that wishes that I would have just researched this case without watching it.
And I do think that there is some benefit to being so real and raw and showing those moments to show the real effect that people, their racist ways and their mean and cruel ways can have on people and their hatred. But yeah, that's something that I don't know, honestly, if I could watch.
Yeah. So if you want to watch it, I just wanted to give that warning. It is great. It's very well done. There's more like interviews with the mom and what she's done since that. And it's a really great piece of work. But if you are sensitive to that kind of stuff, proceed with caution.
This one I was not expecting to get so like angry and irritated and sick and sad about, to be honest. Like I didn't know what we were doing going into it. All I've heard was like the documentary is unbelievable. You should watch it. That's an awful story.
Yeah. I didn't know what I was getting into when Mom and I watched it. We were just flipping through Netflix, and I was like, oh, I heard that was good. If you want to watch something true crime. And she was like, yeah. And then we were both like, shit at the end of it.
Yeah. And like, that's so recent. And like,
yes, very recent.
People are still so hateful. You know what I mean? Like 2026 baddies, let's like spread kindness and happiness, and like, we're all human, and love and accept everybody for who they are. That's like
and let's let kids play football and cheer and dance.
Yes, and have fun.
In an empty lot.
And be loud.
Because it doesn't hurt you.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're kids. They have one childhood. And you just took their childhood away from them, Susan.
Literally stole it.
Yep. Disgusted.
and are still willing to say that you would sue her children after you took their mother away from them. You are willing to say, I'm going to sue their children.
She's a nutbag. Hopefully she's in therapy in jail because she is a nutbag. And I hope she gets bullied there. And I hope people are mean to her.
I don't know that therapy is going to help this woman at this point.
No, very true.
I'm all for therapy. I think therapy can help a lot of people. This seems like pure evil to me.
I agree. If the fact that it was like Googled on our computer and like this was clearly premeditated, this is a different kind of evil.
Yes.
Which I think when it's your time, Susan, you'll find out like how terrible you are.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for listening. Please follow us wherever you're listening to this podcast right now and maybe give us a nice little review or a mean one, I guess, but nice would be better. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We are at Bloodshed Baddies everywhere.
You can also send us an email with a case suggestion or a story to bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com. Don't forget our intro music is made by our awesome cousin Vinny, and he also has a new album out, so go check that out on all music platforms. Tell everybody you know, and tune in next week for a me episode.
Make your New Year's resolution to tell 20 new people about Bloodshed Baddies.
Yeah, that's a good one, Lex. I love that. Please.
We love you all.
Love you. Bye.